Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm good. I have a really exciting show for you today. I have a relatively new wholesaler, just since January. So by my count, that's 5 months. He's in the state of Mississippi, and he is crushing it. By my count, he's done 14 deals already. So I thought we would welcome Sean to the show and really figure out what's making his systems work and processes, and just really motivate all of you to understand what you could do. So how you doing today, Sean O'Rourke?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Do me a quick favor. Let's introduce the world to who Sean is, where you are, what you've been doing, all that stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I'm just a regular guy. I found out about wholesaling the middle of last year. I currently work full time. I'm a production manager at a plant here in Tupelo. I have 4 kids. I have a wife that's in ministry. She's a children's minister, so her job never ends. And so we really kind of fell into this. I started by flip. So my friend of mine started a flip, and he asked me, he said, "Sean, do you think you can manage the flip if I put up all the money?" I said, "Sure, yeah, I could do that." I've built a couple of houses for myself, so I kind of knew the process. And so we started the flip process. Well, I quickly realized that contractors are a headache, and I was like, got to be something easier than this, dealing with these contractors. So what I did is I started looking and researching, trying to figure out, what's easier, what the process is as far as what can make my life easier, and the things that I do. And I fell into wholesaling. I started looking at some videos and really went to YouTube University and went through that process of learning. And I was able to do a couple of deals prior to January. Going through some RVMs, I kind of jumped off into something and realized really quickly that in my area of only 44,000 people, RVMs it's just not the way to go for me. I could hit all of Tupelo in about a month, and so um, I kind of backed up and punted a little bit, and I found some guys on Facebook, and they had a mentorship, and I went through their mentorship, and that's really when it kicked off. So I finished their mentorship back in November of last year, and when I started the mentorship, I told them, I was like, "Guys, I really think I'm spinning my wheels here." I was 2 or 3 weeks in. They had some homework, and they're like, "Look, give us your honest feedback." And I give them my honest feedback. I said, "Look, guys, I'm spinning my wheels. I'm not getting anything accomplished. We're going through this process." And they said, "Just hang out with me. Just go through the process." And they did. And so as of January, what I did is I decided, because I worked full time, um, I I just had to hire somebody to cold call. So we we have a full time cold caller. She works 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. She's from the Philippines, and she calls all day, every day, and it just continues to bring leads. And so that's kind of how I got started. I've previously, like I said, I'd built a couple of houses for myself, so I knew the construction process. I knew something about real estate, and so that's it.
Wow. So there's so much there in that quick couple of minutes. I want to peel back. First, let's not hurt anybody with acronyms. RVM is ringless voicemail, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And really what you found out, because again, the other thing you said that goes unsaid is you have chosen to focus on where you live, right? In
Yes, sir.
Mississippi. And
Yep.
you may be educated, incorrectly. Hey, it's 44,000 people. I can hit all that in a month. So instead of doing RVMs, let's just pay someone. I'm guessing somebody in the Philippines. So you're a virtual assistant, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So, lots of people are looking at virtual assistants. What kind of training did you give her? Right? Did you give her a script? Did you say, ask these 3 questions? What did that look like?
Yeah. So I was lucky in that process, because I've heard some horror stories about that and hiring VAs. My mentors actually had a cold caller already that was not being
Ah,
utilized.
nice.
So it really benefited me to have those guys on my side, and then be able to utilize that cold caller that had already been trained. But yes, they went through that process of training, and it took months,
Yeah.
of back and forth. And as a matter of fact, long term, I'm going to potentially, because she's from the Philippines, I've realized that down here in the South, we're a little bit country and we've got some slang. Okay. And what you find out is sometimes some of the people, if someone from overseas is calling, they're just going to immediately hang up.
Yeah.
So I want to get a girl that's local here that has the country drawl, and I think we'll pick up even more leads because of it.
Yeah, that's again. So a couple of things you've mentioned there that others need to pick up. I call it getting referrals from people you trust, right? Your mentors basically gave you a connection. Anytime you can leverage your network, you just shorten the time frame and you reduce your risk and your cost. I mean, people try to do everything on their own sometimes, and it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
right.
Yeah. And then again, you're looking at your business and going, it's going to be really cool. We've known each other for 7 seconds, so throw this idea away if you want. But one of the things I might try is, when you bring on the local girl with the Southern draw and all that country stuff, is I'd run them 2 months side by side and see. Because my guess is, yeah, you're right. You're going to get more leads from the local, but also my guess is that person's significantly more expensive.
Sure.
But then again, you get 2 more deals and pay for herself. So it's going to be interesting to see the comparison, I guess.
Yeah, actually, I did run some numbers on it. I think I can pick up somebody here that maybe is a house, a homemaker that wants to make a little bit extra money. I think I could pay her $10 an hour, and then maybe like a 10% commission fee on anything that we close.
Oh yeah, you're gonna crush it. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's what I believe that's what I'm going to be able to do.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think that as I'm sort of sharing my silly idea, I'm kind of running the numbers in my head at the same time. I'm like, no, man, he's going to freaking crush it with a local. You get 1 extra deal, it's just paid for.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right, 44,000 people, and you're just crushing it. So high level, you've done, I think it was 14 deals. Do I remember that right thus far?
Yeah, actually, I did 15. One actually just fell through.
Okay, so 14 done.
Yeah, I did get the earnest money off of that one. So it wasn't a major deal. So in Mississippi, the average income the median house is probably somewhere around 120 to 150,000.
Sure.
So my average deal is anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000. With some larger ones in there. Actually, I've got 2 closing today.
Awesome.
And I have 1 closing tomorrow that I'm actually closing on myself. That's a 23-acre land tract.
Wow.
And I'll buy it myself and then turn around and resell it.
Dude, you're crushing it. So I guess there's a couple ways to go. Let's go here first. One of the big things about real estate investing is you have to know your why, right? And I never want to assume, right? In your introduction, Sean, you talked about having a wife, 4 kids, a day job, right? You're a plant manager. What is your why? Why did you really get into this so earnestly?
Yeah. There's a couple of things. One, I want to be able to provide for the kids long term. And I've noticed that at times what happens is the stress from being a production manager at the plant brings me home to an attitude that's just not conducive for a family. Nice. And so I want to pull away from that if I can. Now I do have a longer term goal, so I do still plan on staying there for at least a couple more years.
Yeah.
And building that. But that's one, and another one that really drives me, and that I've found out, which my why kind of changed a little bit, is the way you can help people in this industry. Because what I'm finding is there are so many people in distress that have no idea how to get out. They're like an ostrich with their head in the sand. They don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to come along and say, look, this is what we can do. Here's the opportunities that we can do, that we could help you. And in the same time, I might be able to make a couple of bucks.
Yeah. No, I think, so again, right. You're just dropping so much knowledge here. I want to make sure we pull it out. First, you're killing it in your wholesaling business. No question. But you just said, I'm going to stay a couple more years because I have a bigger goal. I think that is so awesome, because so many people I talk to get 1 wholesale deal and they quit their job. I'm like, woo, that's risky. Yeah. What are you doing? You got 4 kids back home and you made $5,000. That lasts like 7 days. I mean, what are you doing? So I think that's awesome for people to hear, because I'm guessing your income from your day job through May 1st, so 4 months, is less than what you've made in wholesaling in 4 months. I'm just guessing.
Oh yeah,
No
yes,
question,
yes.
right?
Actually, on the land deal alone that I'm closing tomorrow, I'll make what I've made all year at my day job.
So again, remember people what he's saying. He is staying in his day job because he has bigger goals, even though he has at least on paper replaced his income, right? That's so awesome to hear. Um, the other thing that's important is you went out and got educated. You know, you found some mentors that would help you. You want to give them a shout out? I mean, clearly it's working.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Adam Johnson and Brent Marino. They run the Real Estate Roundup. They're great guys. You know, I talk to them just about every day. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
it's so awesome group. They give some great free advice. All the time on their Facebook page. So I would certainly love to give them a shout out.
Very, very cool. So do you remember your first wholesale deal after the training?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
After the training, the first wholesale deal, and it's kind of a mess. But
They always are.
what ended up happening with that was this house, the gentleman went through a foreclosure,
Okay.
and he had a property behind the property that went into foreclosure, and it's a long deal. But what ended up happening was he was getting a VA loan. He couldn't get that loan processed if it had the rental property on the back side of it. So they were supposed to section off that side of the property. And so he bought that property outright from an individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got that one under contract. We tried to get his foreclosure under contract or get it into a short sale. Couldn't get that done. It was too, it was way too much money, no equity whatsoever. And so, but that house ended up being landlocked. So
Ah,
there was no easement. And so ended up finding a buyer that was actually okay with not having an easement. And he decided to buy the property. It was actually a longer process to try to sell just because it didn't have an easement, but it
sure.
ended up turning out okay.
Yeah, and you put a couple of dollars in your pocket, and you're like, "Wow, this stuff works. Let me do it again."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
That's awesome. That's
absolutely.
awesome. The other thing I wrote down, again, I take notes. When I look to the side, it's because I'm taking notes. The other thing I noted down is your why change. And I think that is true of everybody I know who's had some success, right? Your why coming in, especially for wholesaling, for the most part, is money driven, right? It's the fastest path to money. You can control property for days and exit in days, right? People see the flash, the sizzle. But everybody I know that's had any lick of success, when they get into it, they see the bigger picture. And you hit it on the head, is you get to help people that are in trouble. And
Yeah,
when you see someone who's in trouble and you've done your process, put a couple of bucks in your pocket, okay. But when you see their relief and they thank you most of the time, it's like, oh my
yeah,
God, thank you for getting rid. That's just a feeling that, for most of us, money can't replace.
yeah, absolutely. And you get to save properties. There was one actually that I should be closing in a couple weeks, where the family, it was the father and mother's house. They had passed away. The house sat vacant for 3 or 4 years. It's
Yeah.
going downhill in a hurry. The daughter is so emotional about the property that she can't even go there. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
and so when I had the opportunity to talk to him, I told him, I said, look, I said, once we get this transaction done, this house is going to get fixed back up and put into its glory days, and then you
Yeah.
guys can come by and see it.
Yeah.
So that's another great thing that you get to see with this business.
That's awesome. So I got to ask, man. You've already shared that you're gonna stay in your day job for a couple of years, which again I applaud. I think that's a huge idea. Keep stashing cash, all of that stuff to make sure you de-risk it, right? You got a wife, 4 kids, all that stuff. Very, very smart. Nice work, Sean. But I am curious, have you sort of sat down and go, where do I take this thing in 3 to 5 years? For example, do you just stay in your town, which clearly works? Do you grow? Right? What does 2 years down the line look like for you?
Yeah. So within the next year, I'm going to move to the surrounding counties, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stay local. And I'm actually closing, or hopefully closing in the next few weeks, on my first two rental properties.
Oh, good for you.
So my plan long term in the next 2 to 5 years is going to be a buy and hold guy myself with wholesaling in between, because the cat you can generate cash fairly quickly, and I'm going to use that as the driver for my long-term buy and holds, just generating that cash. And then but I'm going to stay local. I don't have to be huge. My long-term goal is to have about $10,000 in residual cash coming in every month.
Yeah.
And then I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I love that. Dude, you are wise beyond your years, for a couple of points just in that outline. First and foremost, you've already realized that wholesaling is active income, right? If you stop marketing, you stop earning. So having an idea of closing on your rentals and building that up over time, that's game changing, right? Most people don't see that for years, and you're seeing that in months. So congratulations. The other thing is there is nothing wrong with staying local. Absolutely not. I talk to so many people that are successful in their town, and then for whatever reason, it's the ego, it's the glitz and glamour of social media, whatever it is, they try to virtually wholesale in another market, and it freaking crushes them, right?
Yeah.
Look yourself in the mirror. If you're doing okay, check the ego side, spend time with your family, right? Help people. It's okay to stay small. There's nothing wrong with it, people.
Absolutely. And the stress level is a whole lot lower.
Yeah, you don't need all that overhead, people. Come on.
That's right.
Come on. That's crazy. Man, I guess, what else should we tell people just starting out? Pretend like it's you in October, meaning you haven't yet started, you don't have any deals. You're in YouTube University. What are some of the things that you would recommend if it's still fresh in your mind?
Yeah. I would say the first thing that you do is actually realize, no matter who you are or what experience level you have, all of that means nothing. It's up here in your ability to believe in yourself, to know that you can do it. And you got to believe in yourself first. And if you do that, you can succeed in anything you do, whether it be real estate or a 9-to-5 job or starting any other business. You believe in yourself first.
Oh, I love that mindset. Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing. And again, I tell people you always got to check your mindset, right? You may have the mindset right when you start. You have a couple of weeks with dry spells and people are hanging up on you and yelling at you and all that stuff. You got to recharge that mindset. You got to have your network, right? You said you talk to your mentors almost every day. You got to get that positive energy, that positive juice to keep you going, because negative self-talk destroys most people. So find a way to stay positive and keep moving forward. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. That's really, in all honesty, you're not going to succeed if you don't.
Oh yeah. You'll start out high. It'll be like a sugar high. And then what happens after a sugar high? Crash.
That's right.
Right. Man, this has been so much fun. Any other words of wisdom? I could talk to you forever.
Yeah, I would say, if I told anybody anything about this business, care about people, not about money.
Oh, I love that. I think that's going to be the title of your video. Care about people, not money. I just wanted to write that down because that was awesome. Yeah. So real quick, I always close with letting the speaker or the interviewee how can people get a hold of you? What are you looking for? What would you, if people want to reach out, ask questions, how can they follow you? I mean, you're just crushing it. So, how can they follow your company? I see it on your hat.
Yeah. It's Bearded Property Investors. I also have a Instagram that I'm active on, which is Bearded. I guess it's lower dash or whatever you call it. Investors.
_
Underscore. There you go. Bearded _ investors. You can check me out there. And I try to do like a tip of the day where I tell guys, okay, this is where you go pull lists, or, this is how you communicate with a seller, anything like that. Just a quick 60-second video of something, that you can do to actively become a wholesaler.
So Bearded _ investors with an S.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be following you in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's going to be awesome. Well, Sean, this has been so much fun for me. Thank you for taking a little bit of your lunchtime to share with us. I think this is going to very quickly become one of the most popular videos. It will be available tomorrow at 6 a.m. and I will tag you when it goes out.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
All righty, man. Take care of yourself. Keep crushing it. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Yes, sir. Bye.